Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Flex and Joe, and I'm back with another VIX, ES, and NQ recap video. Today we'll be discussing Wednesday, October 30th. So let's start on the VIX. So looking at the VIX, you can see that we were gapping up here into the open. We were maintaining a bullish trend throughout the overnight session, and we gapped up about 20 cents. From the gap up in the initial open, you can see that we did pop up into the resistance area that's been in play 2 out of the last 3 days, and we swiftly rejected that, which led to the CPC flip on the third candle of the day. But going into the open, we were VIX bullish, which is CPC bearish for the market. So looking at NQ here, you can see that we did end up gapping down just slightly, about 35 points. From the overnight sessions open right here, we did try to push up, move higher. That move failed. We came down. We based on what was the gap area here, where we opened up, where we closed the prior session, where we opened up here. This little itty bitty gap right here was trying to act as support, but ultimately that failed to move us higher. And that gap ultimately fails going into the sessions open. And you can see leading into the open, we are CPC bearish from 7:40 a.m. all the way through the open. So the bearish prevailing trend really lets you know which way the market was trying to go right at the open. And then let's look at ES. So ES, same thing, set up for a slight gap down. You can see here, same thing, that the market did gap up a little bit when we opened up at 6 p.m., tried to push higher, comes back much lower, still tries to hold, fails to move any higher, creates these highs at the London session right here, which come into play later in the day. We just barely wick over them, but the CBC trend was flip-flopping back and forth, but you can see the EMAs are getting wider, and these CBC flips bullish are weaker and weaker. You see this is a very weak candle right into the EMAs, right into this prior pivot here where buyers try to hold but failed. They sell off some more, and we're moving down to the open. We get a little bit of a pop, but ultimately a big flush, right? And so the CBC was short on the ES into the open, through the open, and into the news candle low here from the prior day. And if we go back to the NQ chart, you can see around that same time, NQ bounces off of the pre-market high pivot area from the day prior. You'll remember from yesterday's video, this is where we had some very interesting price action where there was a big push up. The bears tried to push it back down, failed, and then ultimately it started this rally that trended for the rest of the day. So you can see that there, may have been some more buyers looking to defend, and get back in there or defend their position, and they tried ultimately to push it higher, but really they fail. If we look at the first CPC flip that occurs during this session, right, it is on this knifing candle here on the VIX, and you get a very strong push here on ES and a very strong push right here on NQ as well. These two pushes into bearish EMAs don't give you much for a pullback. It would be a pretty aggressive trade, and this is not one of my favorite setups, knowing that here is really the session, the pre-market session low, and we're just pushing right into it. Although this is a bullish engulfing with a long wick on the prior one, especially this one here, very strong look. I'm often waiting for a pullback to see how this is going to fare. So you get your CBC pullback right here into the EMAs where it flips short here on ES. At 1050, it actually flipped short here on 1040 on NQ. There was a bit of a divergence there, and 1040 was the long flip on VIX, right? So, if you were still long on ES here, the other two flipping against you is a good sign that it's probably time to get out and that a big pullback is coming. And so when this candle closed and the other two flipped and we're at 78, right? If you stayed in this candle even just to the next one flipped, and just said, all right, I'll get out when the candle confirms the flip, that was going to be anywhere between 77 and 72. So this is potentially 6-7 points, give or take, that you could have saved yourself by exiting early because the other two flipped. So it's an advantage of using the strategy that you want to be aware of. From there, when you do get the CBC flip back long, look here on ES at 1120. You get the confirmed flip through here, right? So VIX moved through the gap, came back up, retested the opening print area, rejected that again, and tried to move back down. So when it moves back down here at 1120, all three of them are in alignment. Bearish CBC on VIX, bullish on NQ and ES. They give you a nice pullback to enter, and you get a decent little scalp here on NQ, but unfortunately has no continuation. And at least on ES, you do get, on this pullback entry, you do get, about 8 points, probably, give or take where your entry was. But it wicks over the London highs, and then it just fails, right? You get this 10-minute doji here at the highs, not a good sign in price action. Probably going to get a pullback. And then you see this and ES and NQ flipped before the VIX flipped. But you can tell leading into this, that the VIX is coming back down. It's coming into the 10-minute 200. And there is what, looks like buying. Of course, there isn't buying on VIX, but it looks like buying and pressure, pushing it back up. And then from there, it just continues to push the rest of the day. You get, the 10-minute EMAs cross, and it pushes up. And the prevailing trend on NQ was really the way to continue trading for the rest of the day. And your flips on NQ, right? Like this one, for example, you have a bullish flip here into bearish EMAs, no flip to confirm a long on VIX, no flip to confirm a long on ES, and that keeps you out of potentially bad trade. But ES goes short, you get the pullback here, it maintains the short on this pullback, and this, you get your VIX flip. So now all three are in alignment. If you waited till all three were in alignment, they stay in alignment in bullish EMAs, yes, but here's where it really pays off, right here at 1320. This is an excellent trade entry right here, 1320. Let's look here, 1320. You see we wick down into what are flipping and becoming bullish EMAs here, and 1320 as well, right off of NQ's 10-minute EMAs. And again, you get another really, you get this sort of flagging, wedging, pullback, whatever you want to call this, whatever you choose to call this, into the EMAs, into the 10-minute 20 EMA, just before 3 o'clock, just before power hour. I know you are, technically VIX CBC short, but they are holding the bullish EMAs, and this is where the CBC flips can get quite messy. But prevailing trend is still intact. Prevailing trend in here, in VIX is still intact. Same thing with ES, right? You had a nice flip short here. These are all excellent entries as well. You're short, no signs of buying. It's very weak. Back into the EMAs, back under the opening print right here, and it trails off from there. And again, of course, we are subject to earnings and other plays like that are going to be happening overnight. But the prevailing trend, can't speak. This is my 17th attempt at trying to make this video. Was bearish on NQ all day. Tried to flip bullish on ES, failed. Maintains the bearish sentiment, and that was really the way to go. Your best trades of the day were really the short trades. So hope everybody did well trading this day. If you have any questions or comments, please hit me up down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next recap.